Good evening, everyone. Welcome into tonight's edition of Wave News Extra. A much different story in our night sky compared to our Wednesday. No low-lying clouds, not much rain to talk about. Instead, we're chilling in the lower 50s. Looking forward to what promises to be a pretty nice Halloween night tomorrow. And for that, we're going to rely on the storm tracking team and Ryan Hogue to break that down for us a little later tonight. Meanwhile, we're here in the Wave Now studio. Always appreciate you spending some time here with us as we unwind and go back through some of the day's bigger stories, different snippets to look at some of the reporting we've been doing and other stories and headlines that have caught our attention and caught your attention throughout this Thursday, October 30th. Appreciate your time, by the way. I'm Jose Sosad. Yeah, we're going to jump right into the story that has driven a lot of attention and concern from neighbors, nonprofits, small stores, businesses, and trying to be those supports for other neighbors if they feel they're in a food crisis or soon to be food crisis, as they describe it, with SNAP benefits possibly now being suspended on Saturday in the middle of the government shutdown. Hundreds of thousands of families in Kentucky and southern Indiana impacted. Certainly, different parts of the community stepping up, finding those ways to make up for the gaps and help those in need. Across the country, food pantries have said they're concerned about the upcoming federal cuts to food supplies and possibility of that impact. Today, we had heard Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg lay out his frustration and the response so far.
And as mayor, this makes me furious. When I see Washington, D.C. and our federal government shut down, I realize we here in Louisville, we have to step up.
Now, the 13 food pantries that are part of this group called the Association of Community Ministries say right now they're in a position where for any other families and neighbors who can donate food that their volunteer staff is desperate for that new supply and the new stock. Some of the pantries at the 13 ministries we talked to here at Wave News were already giving out more than 25,000 pounds of food a month, but they say they'd already increased that by 40%, and that was with SNAP benefits rolling out as was usual. And while local leaders say there's, again, that uncertainty as to how much bigger the demand and the need for help is going to be, they know that they are going to serve more people in the short term in the community, asking those who can afford to leave some canned goods and things that won't perish so quickly to donate it if they can. And in that same vein, hearing about the types of stories of people who are clients who are coming and depending on these community resources.
We shouldn't be hearing from our elderly neighbors who are trying to live on their Social Security check of $967 a month and are having to choose whether to take their heart medication or buy food.
Now, local pantries say mostly they are in need of some protein-rich food, some boxed milk, canned goods that are easy to open. The association says it's going to partner with Metro United Way and the Urban League to help meet some of the needs for the time being. And much more of that reporting is available on our website, wave3.com. And to other parts of the community, as several states have tried to sue to force SNAP funding back into play. Federal judge heard arguments today, promised to have a ruling soon. So as Fernando Garcia checked in with that network of ministries, our David Mattingly was also talking to other community food networks who say that they couldn't afford to wait, asking questions like, for folks who have questions and they're trying to answer for them, where can they find more money, more food, and feed more people? This is at the kitchens of Feed Louisville. It's a nonprofit that makes 700 to 800 meals a day. If they can get more support, buy more food, they say they'll be able to feed 1,200 people each day, and that would come in hot and cold meals distributed by volunteers and partners to people in need all over the city.
Every food organization is having conversations both together and within their own organizations about how they're going to meet those needs. We're hearing about food banks like Dare to Care and our local food pantries running out of supplies.
Back to the point of the states filing for that a release of SNAP funds or for them to restart again. Kentucky and Governor Beshear's administration joined the lawsuit. The judge in the case heard arguments today and says again that he'd rule soon. In the meantime, for community food organizations, it is an all hands on deck approach. Jumping over to Indiana, one lawmaker is proposing that the state itself step up with money to help Hoosiers set to potentially lose SNAP benefits. In Indiana's case, around 600,000 people would be impacted. Some reporting from our partners at the News and Tribune are that State Rep Greg Porter is proposing the state do something, suggesting during a committee meeting to give $122 million in state funds to SNAP and another $10 million to local food banks. Porter argues the state has a $2.5 billion surplus to pull money from for the effort. His peers on the committee on the Republican side voted against putting it on the actual agenda. They stated their concerns as to how the money would be loaded onto EBT cards. The Family and Social Services Administration in Indiana then arguing that it's not the state role to have a stake in SNAP. They instead are urging Democrats in the United States Senate to agree to pass the short-term funding bill. Unrelated to the stories about food assistance and the sort of community response now to try and get as much stock as they can. This is an update in the case of a former UK student who's connected to the death of her own infant. Well, she's now been ordered to keep an electric monitor and stay in home confinement over the course of her trial. Court documents confirming to us a judge ordered Lakin Snelling to stay at her father's house in Tennessee. You'll recall back in August, she was arrested after her baby was found wrapped in a towel inside of a garbage bag in a closet, so hidden in all those layers. Lexington police records revealed that Snelling told medical staff that she guessed the baby was still alive. We also looked at copies of a search warrant of her phone showing searches about pregnancy, including photos of her during labor and the phrase, quote, concealed or hidden pregnancy. Snelling, who no longer goes to the University of Kentucky, is still charged with abuse of a corpse in connection to her infant's death. I'm going to bring you back outside to our view of the downtown skyline here, thanks to our SkyTrack network. And as I mentioned at the top of the hour, some very fall-like temperatures. Hope if you're having to step outside to remember to keep those layers. The discussion about layers with Halloween costumes are going to come up. And I hope you stick around for the rest of tonight's edition of the live stream here on Wave News Extra. We're going to do a little rewind into what night out for a pretty famous neighborhood in Louisville is when it comes to Halloween. Just a little rewind for Hillcrest, and we're going to compare this to what we have in store for you tonight on Wave News at 11, with some changes coming to folks as far as access walking up and down the neighborhood, parking, the different rules, or as far as like tracking entries through tickets. Much of that we're going to discuss a little later tonight, but hope you stick around for that and many more stories we're going to break down here on Wave News Extra. So we're going to take a brief pause, be right back with many more stories right after this. Welcome back into Wave News Extra, streaming live here inside the Wave Now studio. Always appreciate you connecting with us, whether that's through our different social media streams through Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, X, or if you're joining us on the Wave Now app on your smart TV devices. Always appreciate that ability to connect with you all on these nights, Monday through Friday. We have more stories to discuss, all our reporting and things we're staying on top of happening throughout the day. Another opportunity to share that with you connecting with your devices. This update is of a Louisville woman accused of setting two men up to be murdered in her apartment. Well, she's still in jail on $1 million bond. Jasmine Brown is charged with 2 counts of complicity to murder and possession of stolen property. Now, some details in this latest court hearing. The double murders happened at the Falcon Crest apartment September 29th, and LMPD says it's still not clear to them the relationship Brown had with the 2 victims, whose names we've learned, Kavion Faulkner and Marion Caldwell, or why they were actually staying with her. But the big tidbit of detail from court today that attorneys were arguing Brown talked about these murders on a jail phone call,
where she told this witness, I set this plan in place. You're going to see my house on the news. She's on a FaceTime call with 3 masked individuals right before the murders happened saying, the door is unlocked. They're asleep.
Now, Brown's attorney argued that she was not home at the time of the shooting, and then also claiming that there's not enough evidence as it stands against her client. So that was the official response from Brown's attorney. And she's the only person arrested still and charged in the case at this time. But her case is going to be sent to a grand jury not very long. It'll be sent to them on December 1st. More updates this evening. Yum Brands has picked its new downtown Louisville location for its corporate office. They're going to move into the PNC Tower on South 5th Street. Yum Brands plans to use 4.5 floors of the building as office space. The company expects to move into the PNC Tower sometime in late 2026. Right now, they are still based out of their Louisville campus on Gardner Lane. And in June, they donated the space to JCPS for their corporate headquarters. Now, an update from our troubleshooters team. This was an investigation into a story that they wanted to further shed some light on and find as much context information as they could. So this is a case of protesters who clashed with ICE officers doing an operation out in California. So that's where that stands. Something that's become a common story of these confrontations. And immigration enforcement has been turbocharged by the current administration, and with congressional decisions to reallocate a lot of money for ICE support. Well, that led to one Jeffersonville family fearing that their husband and father might actually never come back home, even after being told that he would get out of jail 3 different times. And so this was the story that our Mark Stevens breaking down how an initial speeding ticket ended up upending one family's livelihood. So this is the story of Hugo Ortiz, who was stopped by police in June. Speeding. He was doing 44 at a 35 mile an hour zone, and you see some body cam video there. The officers soon learned that Hugo did not have a license and that he was undocumented. So that is a misdemeanor crime, and it was Hugo's second. But with President Trump's strategy on immigration to go after the worst of the worst offenders, his attorneys and family saying this has impacted Hugo in his own life. He's been in jail since June, given a bond by an immigration judge, but government prosecutors appealed, and that was reversed. He won his immigration case, asking for relief from removal because of his good record and because his wife and children do still rely on him. But still, Hugo's not been let out, and it is what his wife had been fearing for a very long time.
Can't drive. Okay. You going to jail?
So he actually called me while he was there with the police.
Good morning, baby.
Buenos días.
He called and he said, I'm going to jail.
What? Oh my God, Hugo.
And my heart just stopped.
Okay,
I love you.
The deputy tells Hugo ICE will get notified.
Since you don't have a social security number, ICE will put a hold on you for 2 days, okay? And then they'll determine if they want to.
ICE wanted him. Rachel had always dreaded this.
I was like, oh, there it is. That's the call I dread every day.
Now, for the complete report that Mark has, and there's much more to it, his full report extends to 6 minutes, and you can discover that online right now at onwave3.com. His attorneys laying out all the appeals that they have laid out, challenging jailings in federal court. That is something we do have up right now on wave3.com. In other stories we've been covering, perhaps you've seen this sign, and there are others popping around town giving the phrase pinching pennies a new meaning. This was at the Prospect Kroger you saw initially there. Stores are starting to see the impacts of a penny shortage, literally. The U.S. Mint reportedly made the very last batch of pennies in August after the White House told the Treasury Department to stop making the coins, which were costing more than 3 cents each to actually produce those said coins. And in 2025, the U.S. economy itself has become increasingly digital with all those options for payment. Some places we've learned are still accepting cash, or newer places we've learned are not accepting cash at all to begin with. But today, Wave News reporter Arlena Noakes checked in with some businesses who are embracing this change of no pennies in their own unique way.
If you've been to the store recently, you've probably seen them asking for your pennies. This comes as the U.S. Treasury stops production of the penny. And while some businesses are trying to find ways to adapt, others are going to keep doing what they've always done. If there's one place PRP knows, it's their local pizza spot. The dough rolled out by hand every day and served up with generous toppings.
He grinds this by hand off the pork butt, off the bone and everything. Fresh every day.
That would be the owner, Ray Lampkin.
Thin crust.
Thin crust.
Mhm.
Is that the way you like it?
Yep.
Okay.
That's the only way we have.
Sometimes things like pizza crust
10, 15 minutes, it'll be done.
have no reason to change. That includes their cash-only policy, the way it's been since 1971.
We never found a reason to change. It works. It's simple. And so we just keep doing it.
As the penny production stoppage has finally made its way down to the local level, Lampkin is sticking by the saying, in for a penny, in for a pound. Many businesses are rounding up to the nickel. Others are asking for exact change or another form of payment, but Lampkin is unfazed.
When the big chains don't use pennies anymore, more of what's left will be available to us, and we will simply use pennies as long as they have them.
If there's one business that's going to keep pennies in circulation,
It's going to be us. Absolutely.
Gotcha. The pizza is certainly worth every penny.
It's the best pizza. It's absolutely the best.
And the customers, well, it's safe to say they have no problem coming back.
I started coming here when I was a boy, so I've been here all my life, and I've just always known it's been a cash-only place. I have no problem with it.
And as this place continues to fill up, the old adage remains true. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. In PRP, Alina Noakes, Wave News.
All right, thanks, Selena, for that update. Many more stories to break down for you tonight here in the Wave Now studio. Some of them extending as far as traffic updates as you're going to go about the rest of your day. You know, if you have to head out sometime very late tonight on this Thursday, looking forward to Friday and the rest of the weekend. So some traffic updates. An update for folks out in Hardin County and a resource if anyone ever is in a medical emergency and trying to get those response times from paramedics down a little faster. A little bit of a rewind when it comes to getting ready for Halloween here locally, and many more updates, and even the latest edition in our What's Good series, something we're going to break down for you coming up a little later tonight. We're going to take this quick break for some commercials and be right back. 8:26 on this Thursday night, October 30th. Appreciate you all joining us here on this live stream of Wave News Extra, breaking down stories from here in Louisville and around Wave Country. Part of that update is with Metro government, the mayor's office adding a new team, a new department to help residents dealing with their mental health needs. It's going to be called the Office of Behavioral Health. That's supposed to coordinate efforts with Metro overall to support public health, corrections, and safety. A major component of their work, as leaders pointed out, is with permanent supportive housing. While providing affordable homes and specific services, people can then find some independence and stability. The executive director of behavioral health had once worked with Louisville Metro Corrections, Dr. Mariah Lederman, and she says the role gave her a different perspective on the kind of work that needs to be done to help more people in need.
One of the biggest pieces that I learned working in corrections was the value of community partnership and collaboration with everyone in the community. That if we continue to have an unhealthy community, we're going to see people cycling in and out of these systems that are creating harm. I'm ready to get to work and to start leading with purpose by leading our city through listening and collaboration.
The new Office of Behavioral Health says it's going to collaborate with Metro Corrections to strengthen in-custody behavioral health treatment for anyone who is in custody, as well as those reentry supports. Heading over to Hardin County, where they are expanding their emergency response with some new equipment coming in for folks to benefit from when an emergency presents itself. They just launched the county's 9th full-time ambulance. Its home base is going to be the newly renovated West Hardin Fire and Rescue Station. For months, trying to finalize EMS 911 and other data that would allow ambulances to get where they need to get to more quickly. So the cost for this project, around $300 taxpayer dollars. The next step, though, is to move in a crew to be there on site. And the goal that the county leadership says is to be operational by mid-November. So we'll certainly follow up with that. For drivers, a heads up on a couple closures starting soon that are going to impact for you having to move around Louisville and through the city at pretty key parts. So starting tonight, and we'll try to get you an image through our camera network with TriMark, see what that looks like. A ramp closure on I-64 West. This is the ramp from I-64 West to I-65 South in Spaghetti Junction. As I look at the clock, 8:29. It's going to be closed in just about a half hour at 9 p.m., and it's going to stay closed tonight through 4 a.m. tomorrow. The overnight ramp closure is so the crews can do some striping on that particular ramp. And actually, there's also going to be some striping work going on this weekend on I-65 North and South. So it's going to lead to lane and ramp closures starting on Sunday night at 8. In this case, drivers could run into these closed lanes on I-65 North and South between Fern Valley Road to East Broadway. Everything, though, should be back open by 5 a.m. Monday morning for the commute into work and getting folks early into school if they need to get there early. Some additional closures of I-65 North's on-ramp from South Jackson Street, the north on-ramp from East St. Catherine Street, and the I-65 South on-ramp from Jackson Street and East Magnolia Avenue. Those are also planned. We'll probably have a list of all the breakdowns of those ramps you're going to have to find some detours for on wave3.com. Well, several Kentucky companies are suing the state's Office for Medical Cannabis. We're learning now through some filings that this is challenging the Commonwealth's medical marijuana program overall. It's 3 businesses based here in Louisville filing the suit, and they are accusing the state of favoritism toward out-of-state applicants and the license lottery process. The companies also claim Kentucky lawmakers illegally gave the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, so CHFS, the power to set licensing regions and restrictions. None of the plaintiffs who got together to file the lawsuit received a license to grow, process, or sell medical marijuana. A judge heard arguments for their suit this week, but has not yet made a decision. Well, what we're going to play here is a little bit of a setup to what the fun, the atmosphere is like in a pretty famous, busy part of Louisville around this time of year, late October. All the Halloween decorations and the time investment put up by homeowners, families to host visiting families, kids in costumes for trick-or-treating down on Hillcrest. And just to give you a sense of what it was like last year, and then discussing something we're going to showcase for you as far as our reporting tonight on Wave News at 11. This is a blast from the past, just from last year, from our Logan Perrone, to give us that visual reminder of what folks had been expecting to see out for a Halloween night out on Hillcrest.
How the saying goes, a little rain doesn't hurt anybody, and that is certainly the case here on Hillcrest Ave, where a little bit of a rainy forecast hasn't stopped the Halloween celebrations. Now, we were out here yesterday. Folks tell us that they were expecting crowds to be out here regardless of the rain, and they did not disappoint. We've seen crowds, costumes, people getting their candy across the Louisville Metro. Trick or treat is happening tonight. Now, here on Hillcrest Ave, we know that this has been a neighborhood that comes together, but we found out that it started as a rivalry.
I think it started probably 20 years ago with a competition between 2 homeowners trying to one-up each other on decorations. And it went from there. So more and more people started decorating, and that's what's happened since then.
Now, if you didn't get out this evening just because of the weather forecast, no worries. In Floyd County, Indiana, trick-or-treating is set to go ahead tomorrow. We're live on Hillcrest Avenue. Logan Perrone, Wave News.
So again, that was just Logan's check-in. Halloween last year in 2024. Some sort of deja vu when it comes to the rain affecting potential plans. Not just for a neighborhood like Hillcrest, but potential, trick-or-treating plans for so many other groups organizing that kind of party. Well, not the case this year, even though rain has been sort of a theme from Monday through Thursday. But in essence, we know leading up to tonight for Hillcrest, there have been some reported changes. Part of that having to do with some tickets to gauge how many people are coming in and out. Of course, there's also the rules for parking cars and understanding that it's going to be all foot traffic, that they're trying to block a large portion of these spaces of the homes up so families can walk back and forth and enjoy the night, kind of hopping in those trick-or-treating fashions from house to house. But needless to say, we're going to discuss how homeowners and folks looking forward to that trick-or-treating tonight are going to feel with maybe these tweaks and how they'll adjust accordingly. Our Julie Richardson is going to have that in her report tonight on Wave News at 11. So it's her reporting, our Meredith Lee's reporting, the storm tracking team, all going to be getting ready right now, leading up to tonight for the 11 o'clock newscast. We're going to take a quick break coming up on 8:35 to reset and go over the last batch of stories to share with you here in our live stream. We'll be right back. Hope you stick around with us to wrap up tonight's Wave News Extra. Hi, everyone. Jose Society here in the Wave Now studio for tonight's live stream here, and walking through the latest addition to our What's Good series here on Wave News, highlighting what's happening. Those are positive things around our community. Want to introduce you to what we found out today was a project 4 years in the making. In fact, a first of its kind picnic table that's designed to be accessible to everybody, including folks who use wheelchairs. It was finally unveiled in Shepherdsville Park after coming to life at this place called First Build. This was our Wave News anchor, Brian Schlonsky, reporting how Bullitt County students, university students at U of L, GE appliances engineers, city leaders, showing that when they work together, they can make their community a better place.
Going back in time, there was no accessible parking, there was no wheelchair ramps.
Dan Souter remembers a time, it wasn't that long ago, when the world wasn't very accessible. Of course, he also remembers a time when that issue wasn't one he thought about much. Then came junior year in college.
I was riding a motorcycle. We were out on the West Coast on vacation. A drunk driver ran a stop sign.
His leg shattered.
Finally came down to either my life or the leg.
Stories like Dan's, while they often begin with tragedy, sometimes can lead to great change.
It definitely opened my eyes to the ADA compliance.
Enter Brady Rawson. 4 years ago, he was a Bullitt Central High School student. Brady, along with a group of engineering students in the GE Appliances STEM program, took on a challenge: find a way to make public spaces more accessible for everyone.
It definitely started out as a concept, and I didn't know where it was going to go.
The concept? A picnic table that can easily accommodate wheelchairs in any of the table spots. Where it went, on a 4-year journey that brought a community together. The students created a prototype, pitched it to the Shepherdsville City Council. Council says it's a go. Then engineers with U of L and GE helped finish the design. Thursday at Shepherdsville Park, a concept officially becomes a creation.
It's just that it's amazing to see it, and it's great to see how far it's come.
For GE's Michael Ekbundit,
sorry, get a little choked up.
This project was his baby too.
And I think a testament to what can happen when we think a little bit outside the box.
Souter can't wait to bring his friends.
I think it's a giant step in the right direction.
Our thanks to Brian for sharing that report with us. And Shepherdsville Mayor says this particular table we went to check out today with Dan and the crew behind it, that one was donated. In the future, the city says it plans to work to find ways to fund more projects like this for the First Build chairs and to improve overall quality of life for a lot of families in central Kentucky. Now, this week here at Wave News on the Wave Now studio on our live streams, we had an update for you about a man named Ronald Exantis being extradited to Kentucky. And in fact, it was a pretty fiery press conference from a county sheriff in Florida. The context, again, just a refresher, back in 2015, that Exantis was charged with stabbing and killing a little boy, Logan Tipton. And he was released from jail in Kentucky because of a mandatory reentry supervision program. So part of the law is on the books. He had requested to do the program in Florida, but now we have learned he's back at the Kentucky State Reformatory in LaGrange. And in the aftermath of having, violated a Florida law, which then put him back in custody, extradited to Kentucky, Logan Tipton's mother says she wants Exantis to stay in state custody. If you're familiar with the case, a jury still ruled he was not guilty by reason of insanity for the charges against what happened to little Logan, but still found guilty of assaulting his sister and the rest of his family that awful night. Reporter Jackson Plank talked to mom Heather Tipton about this latest development and Exantis ending up back in LaGrange.
Obviously, we are glad that he has been behind bars, and we are glad that Kentucky is going to make him answer for failing to register as a felon.
It's been nearly 10 years since Ronald Exantis broke into the Tipton home and forever changed Heather Tipton's life. In an interview with Tipton Wednesday, she made her feelings clear following Exantis' extradition back to Kentucky from Florida.
Honestly, I'm grateful that he violated. I don't know how he forgot to go register. I don't understand the thought process with that.
Police body camera video shows Exantis' October 9th arrest as Marion County, Florida officials say he didn't register as a felon.
You do have a warrant for your arrest out of Florida, okay? We'll talk about it in a minute.
In a press conference Tuesday, Marion County, Florida's sheriff criticized Exantis after saying he was living across from a local elementary school.
Because of some stupid, obscure law which Kentucky has, that murderer came here. That was his mistake.
Logan Tipton's mother says she found out about Exantis' release in a rather alarming way.
Started receiving Florida Vine text messages. The first one we received said that he was no longer on supervision, which kind of freaked us out a little bit.
Tipton says her daughter then reached out to the Marion County sheriff, who then had a conversation with the sheriff.
He was very compassionate and showed a lot of care and concern for her family.
On Wednesday, Kentucky House Republicans sent a letter to the Kentucky Parole Board urging them to make Exantis ineligible for re-release. Tipton says while she appreciates the effort, she says it is little too late.
Why did it take y'all so long? Like, why for the past 10 years have we not been trying to do what we could to keep him behind bars and then put him in a mental institution if that's what they want to happen or if that's what is going to happen?
Tipton says she won't quit fighting until justice is served. Reporting in Lexington, Jackson Plank, WKYT.
A reminder, when we do find out about these updates and stories that, of course, still have much more left to develop, a great resource is our wave3.com homepage, our troubleshooters investigations, so much more breaking news and the stories we're following, original reporting and documentaries all right there, including these updates from our sister outlets across our Gray Media network when they do find out about these details in the case of arrests and extraditions like what happened to Exantis. All there at your fingertips on the wave3.com website for sure. We're going to end things tonight with a shout out to Cincinnati. Some pro football players, in fact, in the region spent some time off the field to make sure a veteran got a much needed, much deserved gift. Reporter Jeremy Roach has a closer look at this helping hand performed by the Cincinnati Bengals.
There are no days off for the Cincinnati Bengals.
You guys are going to take this into us?
A team building project constructing a ramp for Army veteran Chris Macklin.
The selling point for me was just really thinking about, like, how am I going to enjoy life? How am I going to do things? How am I going to continue to survive, especially in the wintertime when I have to go this way to get in and out of the house.
Chris got the call from the Cincinnati Bengals offering help. Help came in the form of starting offensive linemen like Ted Karras and Jalen Rivers.
Do anything I can to give back to the veterans because they did a lot. They poured into a lot for us in the country.
Giving back is really paying it forward for rookie Jalen Rivers, a son of parents who served in the Navy.
It means a lot because I made it a point to be here today. Like I said, it hits home, and to build a ramp for a veteran.
In the trenches is where these players do their best work, getting their hands dirty to build a new ramp for a man with a new perspective. Does anything like today motivate you to root for a couple of guys a little differently?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I got some people I'll be rooting for.
Chris is now cruising on his new ramp, and the cherry on top, his own custom jersey and tickets to Sunday's game.
Really excited to be here with Darian. Yeah. And, building this ramp is really extraordinary. This ramp up project is really something special.
All right, thanks to reporter Jeremy Roach right there. And that's going to do it for us tonight here on Wave News Extra. By the way, if there's ever any stories, things going on in your neck of the woods, things, even if it's not just in the What's Good series, but ways to connect with us about the stories and coverage for you all in our community, just reach out to us. That information exists on the website, wave3.com, calling in the newsroom. We make sure to send out as much as we know about the stories that we're reporting on, sent to your smartphones. In fact, when you download the Wave News app and the Wave Weather app as well, but multiple ways to connect and just to stay on top of all those things that matter to you and matter to us here in the newsroom. Like I said, it's going to do it for us, folks. Looking forward to tomorrow night on Halloween, where we should talk about a lot of what to expect. And so hope you stick around as we look forward to the forecast from Thursday overnight into Friday. Ryan Hoke going to walk us through that. Original reports tonight on Wave News at 11. We will see you then. And until then, this live stream will be back tomorrow night at 8:05. So take care. We'll see you soon.